So a little earlier I spoke to Tony Blair. He is the Quartet representative to the Middle East, the Quartet being the EU, the UN, US and Russia. He said the new list was a big step forward.
First of all, the important thing is that we're moving now to the so-called negative list. In other words, there used to be some 100-odd items on a list, a permitted list. Anything else could not go in. Now everything goes in unless it's on the prohibited list. That will probably mean instead of about 120 items, several thousand items go in. It is correct that that means that household items, foodstuffs, bulk materials like textiles and so on go in, but you are right in saying that for some construction material like cement and so on, this will go in, but under a procedure agreed with the international community so that the material goes in for designated UN and other projects to do with things like housing, repair of schools, hospitals, water, sanitation and so on.
Exactly.
We still need to press, obviously, for...
I'm sorry, Mr. Blair, but I want to make that point because you've said this is only for PA-authorised projects and implemented by the international community. So, in effect, nothing's really changed. What about the man whose house was destroyed in the Gaza war and he can't rebuild because he's maybe not being dealt with by the PA or the UN at that point?
Well, the majority of what is going to be rebuilt in there is actually being rebuilt with international aid projects. So I don't think that's so much the problem, but it's true. In order to get those construction materials in, they will have to go through a special process. So a proper summary of what is happening is this. This is a big change. If it's implemented, and we have to make sure it is, it will make a big difference because all these foodstuffs and ordinary household items, even things like cars and washing machines, all that stuff will just come in as a matter of course. For construction, however, it will go in under this proper procedure. However, if we do that, and we will need to get literally, tons and tons of material in to do this reconstruction, it will make a big difference. However, let me actually make a somewhat different point.
Sure.
If we want, however, to get a final lifting of all the restrictions, then we have to get renewed momentum back into the peace process and unity between Gaza and West Bank. And this is absolutely essential.
OK, and we'll come to that a little bit later. I want to read you a quote just now, Mr. Blair. It's something you said March the 1st, 2009, when you visited Gaza after the war, and you said, I will relay, talking about the Palestinian people, I will relay their accounts of events, their assessment of what is needed for reconstruction, their goals for rebuilding a vibrant private sector and civil society, and I'll take that to this week's conference in Sharm el-Sheikh, the donors conference. Your words there, a vibrant private sector and civil society. That's not going to happen under this lifting of the ban. And as you point out, it's not going to happen until we move forward with peace, or something that resembles peace.
We will actually get a boost to the private sector. But again, we have to now press further for not just materials to be imported into Gaza, but materials to be exported out of Gaza too. But you will actually get a significant revival of the legitimate private sector in Gaza if we get these materials in, because, for example, textile companies have been unable to get bulk materials of textiles in order to create the goods for people in Gaza. So there will be an expansion of the private sector. We have to do more. However, it is true, and this is the reality of the situation. Yes, this will make a difference to people's lives in Gaza, but as people in Gaza will tell you very quickly, it's not simply materials they want. They want to be part of a wider process that moves us forward to peace.
Exactly.
And to
they've got to be allowed
prosperity
to...
and a complete opening of Gaza.
Sorry to interrupt you. They've got to be allowed to move freely. They've got to be allowed to export. We've had reports on Al Jazeera in the last week about companies who can't get even something like chocolate biscuits out. That's their livelihood. They can't get that out until there's a lifting of more restrictions to actually let them live their lives.
Yeah, and there's also the issue of the movement of people as well.
Exactly.
All of this is true. So what I'm saying to you is, it is a big step forward. It will make a big difference. There is still more to do. But actually, the key thing is, all of this is easier to achieve in circumstances where we get a renewed momentum towards peace.
Mr. Blair, I've got one final question for you. I'm going to quote you again. Unfortunately, same one, March 1st, 2009, when you visited...
Right, it's a bit dangerous to do that.
Well, let's see what you think. It was March 1st, 2009. You went to Gaza after the war. The Guardian newspaper quotes you as saying, we're going to have to make sure that we get the blockade lifted and the crossings open so the material can come in. I did some calculations. It is 492 days since you made that statement. I have to question, Mr. Blair, what is going on? What are you doing? What are the Quartet doing? Why is it that almost 500 days after 1,400 people were killed in a war and you said, we got to get the blockade lifted, we got to get the crossings open, it's just not happening?
Well, it is, I mean, the whole purpose of what's happened over the last few weeks is precisely to get the blockade lifted and material in. But yeah, you're right. You know something about this situation? It's very challenging and it's very tough. And actually, even before the flotilla incident, more stuff was coming into Gaza, but all of it was a struggle to get it in. But the reason for that is because there has been that history in Gaza, the withdrawal by the Israelis from Gaza with their settlements, then the takeover of Gaza by Hamas, then the Operation Cast Lead and the hostilities between the sides. Now, if we want in the end to make it less challenging for people like me so that we get there faster than 490 days, we're going to have to change the overall politics of the situation.